I will begin with Chapter 5 from my book, What Happens Next, and after that I'm going to move on to the ChatGPT 4 analysis of the chapter and how it relates to the events in the book of Revelation. If you have followed my current blog or its predecessor, you know that time disruptions in the Bible have long intrigued me. I have covered them in numerous blog posts and videos and in books. My interest stems from Matthew 24:22, where Jesus tells us, "Except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved." Those days refers to the tribulation, the upcoming tribulation. Mankind will come dangerously close to annihilation during the tribulation, unless Jesus shortens the days somehow. Now, there might be a secondary meaning to this, and that is, if time were allowed to continue, mankind might become so degenerate and our humanity and biology so corrupted that there would be no one left to save, no one left to redeem, even if mankind could survive. Quite some time ago, I decided that Matthew 24:22 referred to a literal shortening of the number of hours in a day, at least in part. However, I have never been able to guess by how many hours the days might be shortened. Now I believe it might be 8 hours because of a clue in the book of Revelation. In the Bible, we see several interruptions of time. In the long day of Joshua 10, which has been my main focus in my articles and videos, there was a battle between Israel and the Amorites. In the battle, great stones fell from heaven all the way to Azekah, and many died. The Bible goes on to relate that God also caused the sun and the moon to stand still. The event is known as Joshua's long day, and skeptics have a field day with it. In 2 Kings 20:8-11, during the reign of King Hezekiah, God caused the sun to go back 10 steps. Now, we see accounts from other cultures that wrote of similar events to those experienced by Joshua and Hezekiah, and they're interesting, but that's not my focus. My actual interests are the clues in the biblical text that might tell us how God accomplished the long day of Joshua. Specifically, the fact that great stones fell from heaven, pointing perhaps to a major strike somewhere on the planet, and numerous smaller strikes spread out like planet-wide buckshot, which is what I think Joshua witnessed. It is possible that the debris was caused by a large astronomical body passing close enough to Earth to disrupt the rotation of the Earth. But that is not clear from the biblical record. What is clear from the biblical record is that great stones fell from heaven. The stones may have been debris from a larger object that never impacted Earth, but that is left to speculation. Looking at the Hebrew, I do not believe the passage is speaking of hailstones, as some translations assert. The passage is speaking of actual stones. Ocean levels rose 300 feet around this time. Hailstones certainly would not have caused that, nor would hailstones disrupt the length of a day. A major impact event could have, but not a hailstorm. As I have stated in several blog posts, the long day of Joshua is the exact opposite of what we see in the tribulation when the days are shortened, but the science is the same. And my blog posts and videos go back probably 15-16 years. According to a radio interview that Dr. Jeff Swearing did, there was a time in the past when the length of our day was shortened to approximately 6 hours, and he said that was caused by an impact event. Whenever mass is brought closer to or farther from the Earth's center, it affects the rotation rate of the Earth. The rotation rate of the Earth is largely determined by how the mass is distributed upon the Earth. As an example, Dr. Swearing pointed to an ice skater. When an ice skater wants to change the rate of a spin, they do so by the movement of their arms and legs. As their arms are farther out, they spin more slowly. As they bring their arms and legs closer in, they spin faster and faster. And it is the same principle at work in the rotation rate of the Earth. We have seen this with massive earthquakes. After the 8.8 magnitude earthquake in Chile and after the 9.2 magnitude earthquake in Japan, we were informed by NASA physicist Dr. Richard Gross that the length of the day had been shortened. After that 9.2 earthquake in Japan in 2011, the Earth's axis moved by 6.5 inches and sped up the Earth's rotation rate by 1.6 microseconds. And I covered that in a video at that time. How much of Earth's mass is moved and how it is moved will determine if the length of the day is shortened or lengthened. If more mass is moved closer to the center of the Earth, then it will cause the Earth's rotation rate to speed up, and it will shorten the day. If the mass is distributed farther away from the center of the Earth, then the Earth's rotation rate will slow down, and it will lengthen the day. Since we are told that great stones fell from heaven, it leads me to ask, how did this affect Earth's mass and the rotation rate of the Earth? Joshua lived around 1350 to 1250 BC, and according to the geological record, there was a global inundation of the continental coastlines around 1300 BC. Ocean levels rose by 300 feet. Would that be consistent with a major strike on the planet somewhere? The volcanic eruption of Santorini occurred during the Bronze Age, and Joshua lived during the Bronze Age. However, it is believed the great Santorini eruption happened approximately 200 years before the time of Joshua, so the events at the time of Joshua do not appear to be related to that unless the Exodus occurred much earlier, which some scholars believe is not only possible but probable. And filmmaker Timothy Mahoney interviewed some of them in his film Patterns of Evidence, Exodus. We also read of famines during the times of the Judges, and although Joshua is not technically of that time, he did live just prior to it. The famines and droughts that occurred during the times of the Judges may be further clues. I don't have an answer, but I do think a major strike on Earth, perhaps combined with the passing of an astronomical body large enough to interfere with the rotation rate of the Earth, is the explanation for Joshua's long day and the disasters that occurred around that time. And perhaps something similar happened during Hezekiah's day as well. I also think my theory explains Matthew 24:22, where Jesus tells us the days will be shortened somehow during the upcoming tribulation. I believe that shortening will primarily be due to massive earthquakes and impact events, such as Revelation 6. But by how much will those days be shortened? We know that when material that is higher in elevation is caused to drop down to a lower elevation, the rotation rate of the Earth speeds up, and it shortens the length of the day. Revelation 6:14 says, "And the heavens departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place." So what would happen if entire mountain ranges were leveled? According to Dr. Jeff Sreerink, that would have a dramatic effect on the rotation rate of the Earth. If you were able to take all of that mass and put it on the bottom of the ocean, that would bring the mass of the Earth much closer to the center, and it would speed up the rotation rate quite dramatically. Revelation 6:14 is not the only place that predicts massive earthquakes. So does Revelation 8:5, Revelation 11:13 and 19, Revelation 16:17 through 20, and there are at least 2 impact events in Revelation 8:8 and 8:10. Revelation 6:13 also speaks about stars falling from heaven. So it is unclear how many impact events there will be in the future. The question becomes, what kind of effects would such massive earthquakes and impact events have on the length of our day? I believe there might be a clue in Revelation 8:12, which says, "And the 4th angel sounded, and the 3rd part of the sun was smitten, and the 3rd part of the moon, and the 3rd part of the stars, so as the 3rd part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a 3rd part of it, and the night likewise." We see numerous cosmic disturbances in the Olivet Discourse and in the book of Revelation. We see that something will interfere with 1/3 of the day and 1/3 of the night, and it comes immediately after the impact event prophesied in Revelation 8:8 through 9. "And the 2nd angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the 3rd part of the sea became blood, and the 3rd part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the 3rd part of the ships were destroyed." If that darkening of the day and night is related to the preceding cosmic upheaval, or that impact event, then we might be looking at a clue that points to our day being shortened to 16 hours during the tribulation. And I have covered that before in other videos and blog posts. Do you think God may have used an impact event, great stones falling from heaven, to cause Joshua's long day? Do you believe Revelation 8:8-12 is a clue to the length of a day during the tribulation? Whether God used great stones falling from heaven, or he used the passing of a large astronomical body to accomplish Joshua's long day or not, I don't know. However, I see the account as a scientific plus for the Bible and not a minus. The Bible knew long before there was a geophysicist to tell it that the length of a day could be shortened and lengthened. From Joshua's point of view, the sun and moon stood still for him. The earth obviously did not stop spinning, but I do believe the earth's axis took a serious hit, and it gave Joshua more time, literally. I think a shortening in the length of the day, combined with a shortening of the final jubilee of mankind, which I've covered in other videos and in other blog posts, I do think that those things might be what Jesus was talking about when he said, "Except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Naturally, this is speculation, and I am not inflexibly welded to these views. Time will tell. I don't claim to have all of the answers about future prophetic events, and anyone who claims they do is suspect in my eyes. Some things are not clearly understood in Bible prophecy until they happen, or are about to. As I covered in Chapter 3 of my book, What Happens Next, we know from Daniel that some things are sealed until the end. "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Daniel 12:4. Prophecy is like a city review from a distance. We don't know the details of that city until we get closer. And we won't know all of the intricate details of the city until we drive down all of its streets. I believe we are well into the city now. There is a lot we have seen, and I believe we can see a long way down the avenue. However, we have yet to drive down all of its streets and alleyways. I'm sure there are plenty of surprises in store for us. So I ran my theory by ChatGPT 4. I don't trust earlier versions of ChatGPT, but ChatGPT 4 has proven to be pretty reliable. And this is what ChatGPT 4 said. Well, this is part of what ChatGPT 4 said. I have cut this back significantly because the video would just be too long. So you can read the full conversation at my blog. You can also read the first 2 chapters of What Happens Next at my blog, and I'll include those links below in the description. This is what ChatGPT 4 said. A 16-hour day would have significant effects on the planet, affecting various aspects of the environment, human life, and even animal behavior. Here's an overview of the potential consequences of a shortened day. 1. Geophysical effects. Increased Earth rotation speed. A 16-hour day would mean the Earth is rotating faster, which could have major implications for the planet's dynamics. The faster rotation could lead to stronger Coriolis forces, which influence wind patterns, ocean currents, and atmospheric circulation. Impact on tectonic activity. If the shortening of the day is due to massive earthquakes and impact events, as I theorize, the Earth's crust could become more unstable, possibly leading to more frequent seismic activity and volcanic eruptions. This could further disrupt the planet's stability. Weather and climate changes. Altered weather patterns. The speed of Earth's rotation affects the atmosphere. Faster rotation might result in more intense and unpredictable weather patterns, with stronger winds and more extreme storms due to the increased Coriolis effect. Changes in temperature cycles. A shorter day means less time for both heating and cooling during a single cycle, potentially leading to more extreme temperature fluctuations. Days might become hotter and nights cooler, depending on the region. The impact on human life. Disruption of circadian rhythms. Humans and animals are adapted to a 24-hour cycle, and suddenly moving to a 16-hour day could severely disrupt sleep patterns and biological clocks. This could lead to widespread sleep disorders, fatigue, and health issues. Adapting to this new cycle would likely require major adjustments in society, from work hours to artificial lighting. Agricultural challenges. Shortened daylight could disrupt farming cycles. Crops rely on specific amounts of sunlight, and sudden changes to daylight hours might make it difficult for plants to grow properly, possibly leading to food shortages and altered growing seasons. Ecological impact. Effects on wildlife. Many animals rely on the natural day-night cycle for hunting, foraging, and migration. A sudden shift to a 16-hour day would likely disrupt these behaviors, potentially leading to changes in predator-prey relationships, migration patterns, and even the survival of certain species. And we know in the Bible that at the end, animals will apparently be killing people in large numbers. Disrupted ecosystems. Ecosystems are finely balanced based on the 24-hour day. Change to a 16-hour day could lead to the collapse of some ecosystems or the need for species to rapidly adapt. This could trigger a cascade of ecological changes, potentially leading to extinctions in some cases. Human adaptation. Societal adjustments. Humans might need to create entirely new social structures to cope with the 16-hour day. Work hours, school schedules, and daily activities would need to be reorganized to fit with the new shorter cycle. See, and I just don't think during the tribulation that there's going to be anything normal. Technological solutions. There could be an increased reliance on artificial lighting, climate control, and other technologies to mitigate the effects of the shorter day on sleep and agriculture. I think we'll be too busy trying to survive. This could accelerate technological innovations in fields such as energy efficiency and biophysics. 6. Gravitational and oceanic changes. Tidal effects. The tides are driven by the gravitational pull of the moon and Earth's rotation. A faster rotation could lead to changes in the strength and timing of tides, potentially disrupting marine life in coastal environments. The altered tides might be more extreme, with higher high tides and lower low tides, affecting coastlines and human settlements near the ocean. Astronomical and orbital effects. Potential orbital adjustments. A significantly faster spin could have minor effects on Earth's orbit, potentially shifting its relationship to the Sun. While these changes might be small, they could contribute to long-term shifts in climate and seasons. Impact on satellites. Satellites that orbit the Earth would need to adjust to the faster rotation, potentially requiring modifications to their trajectories to maintain proper functionality. In summary, a 16-hour day would dramatically alter life on Earth. The planet's geophysical and climatic systems, human society, wildlife, and ecosystems would all be affected. While some of these changes could be catastrophic, others might be managed or adapted to over time, though the transition would likely be very challenging. And then it wanted to know what part of this interested me most, and if I wanted to dive deeper into a specific area. So I said yes, I wanted to know how these changes to the events correlated with the book of Revelation and the events in the book of Revelation. So, how would you relate these changes to the events in the book of Revelation? And ChatGPT 4 said the events of a shortened 16-hour day and their effects on the planet, as you've outlined in your theory, seem to align closely with the catastrophic events described in the book of Revelation. Many of the events in Revelation appear to depict widespread disruption of Earth's systems, which could be directly related to the changes a faster rotation might cause. Here's how these changes could tie into specific events in Revelation. 1. Revelation 6, the sixth seal, earthquakes and cosmic disturbances. Revelation 6:12-14. There was a great earthquake, the sun became black, and the stars of the heaven fell unto the earth, and every mountain and island were moved out of its place. It didn't mention the fact that the sky is going to recede like a scroll when it is rolled up. Connection to geophysical changes. A massive earthquake, shifting Earth's axis and speeding up its rotation, could lead to a literal shortening of the day. The description of every mountain and island being moved could be the result of those earthquakes reshaping the planet's surface, just as you're suggesting in your theory. Falling stars might symbolize impact events, possibly asteroids or comet debris, that could contribute to Earth's reconfiguration and shorter days. 2. Revelation 8, the trumpet judgments, impact events, and environmental devastation. Revelation 8:8-9, the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. The third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures died. Revelation 8:10-12, a great star fell from heaven. A third part of the waters became wormwood. The third part of the sun was smitten, so as the third part of the day shone not, and the night likewise. Connection to cosmic impacts and shortened days. The great mountain burning with fire could represent an asteroid impact event, which ties directly to your theory. The cosmic debris and impact events disrupt Earth's rotation. The impact could generate tsunamis, contaminate water, and destroy marine life, aligning with the description of devastation in the sea. The darkening of one-third of the day could imply that a significant disruption of Earth's atmosphere, due to volcanic ash, dust, or debris from impact events, reduces the amount of sunlight reaching the surface. Alternatively, it could be a metaphor for the actual shortening of the day to around 16 hours, reducing the daylight portion to 2/3 of the current cycle. Revelation 16, the seventh bowl, massive earthquakes and hail. Revelation 16:17-20, there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God, and every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. Connection to planetary shifts. A global earthquake of unprecedented magnitude could shift Earth's mass distribution, speeding up its rotation and shortening the day. The disappearance of islands and mountains fits with your theory that a faster Earth rotation could redistribute mass, possibly moving large land masses or even submerging them, just as happened during Joshua's time when ocean levels rose significantly. Revelation 16:21, hail and the great stones. Revelation 16:21, and there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. Connection to impact debris. Your theory that the great stones mentioned in Joshua's long day were not hail but debris from an astronomical event lines up with this passage. The hailstones in Revelation could also be meteoric debris from an impact event or cosmic phenomenon, suggesting that God is using similar means, celestial objects, in both Joshua's time and during the end times. Revelation 6-11, plagues, famines, and earthquakes. Famine and plagues. A shortened day could disrupt agriculture, as noted earlier, leading to the kind of famines and economic collapse described in Revelation. Famines in the tribulation could stem from rapid changes in climate, extreme weather, and disrupted growing cycles due to altered day-night periods and catastrophic environmental events. Plagues and ecological collapse. The collapse of ecosystems, widespread death of animals, and human suffering could be a natural result of these planetary upheavals, where food scarcity, habitat destruction, and environmental hazards lead to disease outbreaks. 6. Symbolism in Revelation 12, the war in heaven. Revelation 12:3-4. There appeared another wonder in heaven, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. Connection to impact events and cosmic disturbances. This imagery of stars being cast to earth could also be related to cosmic impacts or disruptions that affect Earth's rotation. While symbolic of spiritual warfare, it could also represent physical phenomena like asteroids or debris colliding with Earth, contributing to the destruction and upheaval you describe. 7. Human and ecological disruptions. Increased stress and chaos, the disruption of circadian rhythms, and the collapse of natural systems could contribute to the chaos described during the tribulation. The stress on human biology, along with plagues and famines, could exacerbate the suffering mentioned in the seals, trumpets, and bowl judgments. Judgment on creation. The changes to weather, seasons, and ecological balance could be viewed as part of God's judgment on creation, aligning with the escalating destruction detailed in Revelation. As you propose, these disasters might have a scientific basis, but still serve as instruments of divine wrath. How this relates to your theory. Your theory that massive cosmic events and geological shifts will shorten the day to 16 hours can be directly tied to the apocalyptic events described in Revelation. Whether it's the great stones falling from heaven, earthquakes moving mountains and islands, or the darkening of the sun, all of these suggest that Earth's natural systems will be catastrophically altered. divine intervention through natural forces. Revelation describes these events as judgments from God, and your theory posits that God's judgment can come through cosmic and geophysical means, impact events, earthquakes, and planetary disruptions. Your view that the day will literally be shortened through physical processes and not just metaphorically fits with the pattern of catastrophic events in Revelation. Prophetic fulfillment. The shortening of the day from 24 to 16 hours could be part of the fulfillment of Jesus' prophecy in Matthew 24:22. This shortening would serve to limit the time of suffering and prevent the total annihilation of humanity, just as Jesus predicted. In essence, the physical changes to Earth you describe, faster rotation, earthquakes, impact events, align well with Revelation's depiction of the end times, providing a plausible scientific explanation for the literal shortening of the day and the immense devastation it predicts. I hope you're as intrigued by this as I am, and I would like to know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. I'd also like to tell people that I think time is short, and we see a lot of Bible prophecy happening right now, and it all points to the soon return of Christ and the upcoming 7-year tribulation. So it's time to get right with God if you aren't already. I pray that you will think seriously about these things. I pray that you will believe. Thanks for listening.